Welcome back to the channel. RacerX here, and today I stopped by to pay a visit to my good buddies here at Courtesy Dodge Jeep Chrysler Ram in Tampa. I'm going to borrow one of their Wagoneers. I'm going to talk all about the Hurricane today. Many of you are well aware that my Demon was down for well over a month, and they gave me a Hurricane-powered Wagoneer to drive, and I never really gave you my thoughts on actually driving that vehicle, and I had it for over 30 days. So today I'm going to talk to you about my actual thoughts, my honest thoughts about the new Hurricane engine. It should be a fun one. If you guys are brand new to the channel, please don't forget to hit subscribe. You can find that button right over here, and off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Today's video is being sponsored by my buddies at Ansel. They provided me with this really cool little battery tester. It's super simple to use, has lots of options. Let me show you what it does. Simply connect it to your positive and negative terminals, and there you go. The menu, it pops right up. You can perform a quick test. You can also have the battery both in and out of the vehicle, as you can see here, and they provide you with a cord to print the data once you actually perform the test. By selecting the quick test option, all you do is click it there. You enter your AHR, which is right there on the battery, which for my Demon is 80. Hit enter and test. And there you have it. The battery is good. Imagine that. Now, because the battery's in the car, all you have to do is select this. You can also check cranking and charging. So if I go down here, I select cranking. All I have to do is start the engine. And there you go. That is just a little bit on the functionality of the Ansel battery tester. This really is a great little product. It's inexpensive, it's easy to use, but most importantly, it's going to give you some peace of mind that your battery is healthy and happy. I love that you can test batteries both in and out of the car. You can test all sorts of batteries with it, and it does a lot of little things that I didn't necessarily cover. Now, if you're interested in this, I will go ahead and pin a link in the comments down below so you can find it on Amazon. Really easy to purchase. A great buy. On we go with the video. And as you can see directly behind me, that is a 2024 Wagoneer powered by the Hurricane Inline Twin Turbo 6-cylinder, and I have actually spoken very highly about this engine. And then, of course, I had 30-something days to actually drive this while my Demon 170 was having its engine replaced. And I will admit, I am actually very impressed. I mean, this vehicle weighs almost 7,000 pounds, and it actually feels really darn quick with this Hurricane engine in it. So we'll talk a little bit more about what the Hurricane engine is and why I'm excited about it. Many of you guys have been aware. I've been pretty outspoken about the potential of this engine, and a lot of people are unaware. This is actually the upgraded engine over the 6.4 Hemi. A lot of people would say, how in the world is that thing better than a 6.4 Hemi? We'll talk a little bit about that, but really the big thing is a lot of people feel like Dodge is a dead company. We know basically they're moving to hybrids, they're moving to EVs. Really, all of the Mopar umbrella brands, if you will, under Stellantis, they're all pretty much struggling. Whether it's Ram, Jeep, obviously you've got Dodge, and then Chrysler, which most likely is going to go the way of the wind. Obviously, they're only making a minivan right now. It makes no sense to keep a brand alive, literally, for one offering. But I am actually really excited about the Hurricane after driving it quite a bit. There are some bugaboos in the Grand Wagoneer and the Wagoneer. I'll talk a little bit about that, but the engine itself is pretty awesome. If I'm being completely honest, I am really not all that excited about any of the EV offerings coming on the new 2025 Charger, whether it be the RT, the Scat Pack, or the Banshee. I've driven a lot of different electric cars, the Porsches of the world. I have driven the Hummers. I've driven all the Teslas, all that kind of stuff. And you can't deny how fast they are. Performance-wise, they check off all the boxes. But they're just not all that satisfying to drive, in my mind. They are a little bit mundane to drive, and I know Dodge is trying to change the narrative on those cars by giving it some internal combustion type characteristics, the way it shifts, the way it sounds, all that kind of stuff. But until I actually drive it, I'm really not all that excited about it. Now, I will get a chance to drive that here hopefully later this summer and give you guys my thoughts. We will see. But 2 years ago at SEMA, when Chad Seymour, I actually did a video with him, and he's actually in charge of direct connection, or at least was up until recently. We talked all about the Hurricane engine. And after listening to what the Hurricane engine is, all the statistics about it, and being somebody that's an enthusiast and can be open-minded, I actually thought this was going to be an absolutely amazing engine.
What's nice about these engines, if you're familiar with inline turbocharged engines, is the torque that they produce in the power band. So this engine is specifically produces 531 pound-feet of torque at 3,500 RPM.
Out of an inline six.
Out of inline six. At 3,500 RPM, you're at max torque, which is what's amazing about these engines. This features 2 Garrett turbochargers. It has an integrated air to liquid intercooler.
Okay.
It has forged pistons, you name it. It's a dual cam, 4 valves per cylinder. Has all the modern technology in this engine.
That is fantastic. So you're basically saying it has forged internals.
Yes.
So for those modified guys out there that like to just push it a little bit, that's not a bad thing, is it? And you really do feel it. I mean, when you drive this engine, you can tell this thing actually packs a serious punch. I've been very impressed with driving this engine around. And when you really think about this compared to like a 6.4, like I said, so many people got upset with me. Oh, why do you not hate on the Hurricane more? It's stupid. It's a 6-cylinder. Who wants that? All this kind of stuff. If you really look at it on paper, the Hurricane is better in basically every measurable way than the outgoing 6.4 Hemi. If you compare it to even to a Hellcat, I mean, that engine is actually like almost 200 pounds lighter than a Hellcat. It's over 100 pounds lighter than the Iron Block 6.4 Hemi. It makes more power, more torque, and don't even get me started on how much it makes per cylinder. And I mean, there's a lot going on with this. Dual overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder, all of which are basically upgrades in my mind over what the outgoing Hemi was. And it's not that the Hemi wasn't satisfying or great, because it absolutely is. It's a ton of fun to drive. I love just about everything about the Hemi. The Hurricane is actually next level in basically every way. So when you really look at things objectively, as long as you can be open-minded, aside from sound, the Hurricane literally is better in just about every way. It makes more power, it makes more torque, it makes way more power under the curve because of the way the turbos spool up in the thing. It tows more, it's more fuel efficient, it's way more mod friendly. It's just better. But like I said, a lot of people just get stuck on the 8-cylinder thing. They have a hard time with change. And yes, I get it, because like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there is kind of a sound aspect to it, a feel aspect to it. I mean, we all know that modding a 6.4 Hemi is really hard to do, especially on a budget. They just don't really make much power with just a few light mods and a tune. The Hurricane is going to be an absolute monster. So I'm actually super excited about the Hurricane. And like I said, you really do feel it when you drive a car like this, a 7,000-pound behemoth. And it does not feel slow when you're driving it. I've also driven the 6.4 version of this, and it feels way slower. The initial torque thump is there, but just rolling down the road and rolling into the throttle, the Hurricane is by far faster. You can feel it by the seat of your pants. I've never put a draggy on it. That's something I think I would really like to do. But this is the reason why I'm actually excited about the engine. You know, it's okay that it's not an 8-cylinder to me, because a lot of companies have successfully been doing the 6-cylinder thing for a long time. I mean, look at the well-established companies that do really well with 6 cylinders. I mean, you've got Porsche, you've got Audi, you've got BMW. I mean, the list goes on. And a lot of companies do so well with it. Yes, I realize a lot of those are European companies. Look how fast the GTR is. I mean, like I said, go to an event like 2K and look at all the GTRs you see. They can be unbelievably formidable, but it is such an adjustment, especially for the Dodge crew. And a lot of those guys are just diehard V8 guys. So there's that part of it. So I actually drove the Wagoneer for like 34 days and it didn't suck. I actually don't like driving really big vehicles. But I didn't mind driving the Hurricane powered Wagoneer. The power delivery on this thing is just so nice. It is so smooth. The way it piles up mile an hour definitely drives like a twin turbo car. I'm just rolling down the road right now. So smooth. Listen and just feel the power coming in. No, it's not loud, but you can just barely hear those turbos working under there. And no, they're not big turbos. They don't need to be. Everything this engine does is very, very efficient. Now, I actually had to go trade my Wagoneer in for a different one because I was having all sorts of issues with the electrical system. That car had all sorts of bugaboos, and even the other one I got had a few little things in it. I'm not going to speak very highly on the Wagoneer. I hate to say it that way. Most of you guys aren't watching this channel because I'm a big Wagoneer guy. But in terms of the engine, the Hurricane engine, it's fantastic. I have been very impressed from the get-go with this Hurricane engine. Like I said, if you haven't driven one, I would highly recommend you go drive it. The power delivery, it doesn't have that crazy neck-snapping thump, but the power delivery is unbelievably smooth. It feels like it has endless torque, and this feels like it has way less than 510 horsepower. And think about it, the new Charger, the high output, is going to have 550 horsepower, so 40 more than this, and that is still watered down. I mean, we know the new Rams are going to have 540. The new drag pack engine that they're testing right now is rumored to make well in excess of 1,000 horsepower, and they're not really changing all that much about the Hurricane that's going to go in the drag pack. So that tells you what kind of potential this engine has, and that actually is what got me excited. So imagine if you just, you put some downpipes in a tune and you did a couple other just mods to help the Hurricane breathe a little bit in an all-wheel drive car that weighs significantly less. Remember, there's a big difference just in the engine weight alone. The new chassis is lighter. I would imagine if you tuned it to 700 horsepower, it would make a red eye look slow. And that is partly why I'm excited. I am about performance. It doesn't just have to be sound. And I've heard some 6-cylinders that sound good, but I can't wait to get my hands on a Hurricane and actually see what it would be like. And then, like I said, and then once you start modding these cars, the sky is the limit. Man, I wish the 6.4 would have been an easier platform to mod, but it came very optimized from the factory. This Hurricane is watered down like no other from the factory, and it's still, I mean, I'm just rolling into the throttle nice and smooth. The power delivery in this big old 7,000 pound behemoth is just really nice, and you just can't deny it. From a performance perspective, it's not even close. I hate to tell you, V8 guys, you purists out there, that is the reality. So the elephant in the room really is this. Anytime they have a first model year run like the 2025 Charger will be in the 6-pack with the Hurricane in it, keep in mind they'll have a standard output like 420 horse version, which will be the 4-door, and then they will also have the 2-door version, which will be the more powerful high output 550 horsepower Hurricane. The first model year runs always seem to have just a few gremlins in them, whether they're electrical, maybe it's engine related, whatever it may be. That's got me just a little skeptical, because that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to automobiles. Anytime they have a new offering, sometimes they have little things that have to be figured out when consumers actually get a hold of them, start putting them through their paces, all that kind of stuff. That's to be expected. But I would expect that they can build on this Hurricane platform to make it a lot more fun. When a Hellcat variant comes out in this, and I fully expect it to happen, that's partly why they want to create this drag pack engine. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 750 horsepower all-wheel drive version that is unbelievably fast. And that to me is pretty darn exciting. And who knows, with MagnaFlow and some of the other companies that are out there, maybe they will actually have an exhaust that we maybe not necessarily super excited about, but doesn't sound too bad. All right, one more time coming out of this last little corner headed to the dealership. I got to do it. Oh, jeez. Man, this big old monster of a vehicle is not slow. It is pretty darn impressive. If you guys haven't driven a Hurricane-powered Wagoneer, like I said, the trucks are coming soon, but just go drive it before you just continue to say, oh, who cares? It's, it's a 6-cylinder. I get it. I do. 100%. But just go drive one. And then kind of give me your honest thoughts about it. Just about everybody I've talked to. I mean, hardcore V8 guys that I race with all the time, the guys that have driven these are all pretty impressed with them. So there you have it, guys. Those are my thoughts on why I actually really like this Hurricane engine. I realize the sound isn't there, but I do realize the potential of something like this. The tuners out there are absolutely drooling over this particular engine. I would love to know what you guys think. I mean, do you like the Hurricane? Are you willing to give it a chance? Have you even driven one? If you haven't, I would highly recommend you go drive a Wagoneer, or even better yet, when they start coming out in the new Ram, like the Ram RHO, you're talking an additional 30 horse over this one. And like I said, I think it's just scratching the surface on what this engine can really do. So give me your thoughts about it in the comments down below, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, RacerX.